I'm 32 years old and I could retire today because of eXp Realty. And in this video, I'm gonna explain to you why that is and give you the 7 not so obvious reasons why you might consider or might not consider joining this brokerage this year in 2022. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Eric Preston. I'm the founder and CEO of Agent Launch and also co-founder of the collaborative movement at eXp Realty. Now, I moved over to the brokerage roughly 2 years ago from Keller Williams, and it took me a really long time to do this, even though I had a lot of people reaching out to me because I was a YouTuber and I had a bit of a presence online, but I didn't really understand the business model. I didn't really see it for what it is. And so that's why I made this video, is to break down properly the actual business model. And this video is not going to be a big pitch about why you should join my team and choose me as a sponsor. I'm going to try to give you a very honest and unbiased perspective of why I think that this brokerage is actually a good option, and give you some of the less obvious reasons why that is, so that you can at least see the model and have a fair representation when you are comparing it to other brokerages. Because the one thing we've learned is that when you do see the model for what it is, you can't unsee it. And a lot of people have their walls up because there's other players right now in the industry who are trying to paint eXp with a negative brush. And I'm gonna explain to you the reasons they're doing that. And the big reason they're doing that is because they're actually threatened by eXp. Because if you actually look at the growth rate, eXp is on a roughly 84% growth rate in agent count, where RE/MAX is actually at a negative growth rate, Keller Williams is at a single-digit growth rate, and so these other companies are actually at a much smaller growth rate, and eXp is slowly but surely taking up a lot of market share. And so before I get into the 7 reasons, the one thing I want to talk about first is eXp's business model. Now, I think this is really important to understand that eXp is not a franchise model. Most brokerages out there are franchise models, meaning there are different owners for each individual office. Yes, some people own multiple offices, of course, but with Keller Williams and with RE/MAX, your experience is going to vary because of the ownership. Now, they buy into what I call a video store, traditional bricks and mortar office, and they own that market. And so that owner is responsible for operating that franchise. And what that does is it means your experience at that franchise could be wildly different than your experience at a different franchise. eXp is not a franchise model. It is one company. It's cloud-based. They've gotten rid of the bricks and mortar model. So a good way that eXp likes to describe it is kind of Blockbuster to Netflix and the evolution of, moving away from bricks and mortar locations. So that's the first thing that's important to understand about eXp, is your experience is a little more consistent because you don't have a franchise model. It's all under one umbrella. And the second thing I want to dive into really quickly is why other companies are painting eXp with a negative brush. And the reason is they say eXp is all about recruiting. Now, why I think this is just a ridiculous thing to say, that's like Burger King saying to McDonald's, oh, you shouldn't eat at McDonald's. They're all about selling burgers. They're way too much about selling burgers. Like, they don't even talk about French fries. That's the most ridiculous thing I can think of, because how McDonald's and Burger King make money is mostly selling burgers. How real estate brokerages make money is literally recruiting agents. That is the one single way that brokerages really make money, is by recruiting agents, having those agents sell real estate, and those real estate agents paying a split or fees, or both usually, to that brokerage. So when people say eXp is all about recruiting, well, every brokerage is technically about recruiting. eXp just put the power of it in their agents' hands and gave them a benefit for doing so that they can actually build a retirement and an equity plan, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. I don't want to focus too much of that video on that, but I do want to call out the haters for saying, eXp is all about recruiting. Well, RE/MAX is all about recruiting. Keller Williams is all about recruiting. Coldwell Banker, Century 21, they are literally all about recruiting. You know how I know? Because I used to run a marketing agency who got hired by these brokerages to run paid ads to help recruit agents, and they paid us a lot of money, and they would tell me all the time how, oh, we need to hit our agent target. We need to hit our agent target. This is what we're really about. Like, we need to grow the brokerage. Like, we need to spend money on this. They literally care the most about recruiting agents. So it can't really say that eXp is about recruiting and other brokerages aren't. That's a lie. Every brokerage is literally about recruiting, and if they tell you otherwise, they are lying. They're always boasting about agent count and average transaction size and all this stuff, but the truth is, RE/MAX was the disruptor in the 80s. Keller Williams was the disruptor 20 years ago. EXP is the disruptor today. And you're seeing it in the numbers, right? RE/MAX will always say, well, the average transaction size on a RE/MAX agent is a bit higher. And Keller Williams will say, well, we're bigger in agent count. But if you actually just look at the growth numbers, they're pretty telling. Like RE/MAX is having negative growth rate. Like I said, Keller Williams is having a very small growth rate. And EXP is like 80%, like it's a little bit crazy. And another interesting thing about EXP, if you look at the stock, and I'm gonna talk about the equity program and things like that in a minute, but if you actually look at the stock, this is a really interesting statistic. In 2021, EXP had $3.8 billion in revenue. They had about $294 million in profit. So they're doing a massive growth rate and expansion into many, many countries, which I'll get into, but they've done it profitably, and they've done $3.8 billion in growth, and their market capitalization, their market cap on their stock is $2 billion, which means their revenue is almost double their market cap, which if you know anything about investing, that tells you how good of an opportunity this is when it's growing by agent count in like the 70s, 80% each year. When you look at that as a purely financial opportunity, it's not taking on debt to grow. It's not like the company's doing it with a profit, and it's because it's a good and lean business model. So when you just look at that objectively, is EXP about recruiting? Sure. Every brokerage is about recruiting. That's literally their business model. That's like saying, is McDonald's about selling burgers? Yeah, of course they are. The opportunity with just the stock and the growth potential there is really, really interesting if you actually look at the numbers. Now let's get into our 7 not so obvious reasons why you should think about joining EXP, or at least consider comparing the models honestly. Now the first reason why you should consider joining eXp Realty, or partnering with EXP as I like to call it, is because it allows you to actually build wealth, okay? Now, with EXP, there's 3 income opportunities. With most brokerages, there's 1, and that 1 opportunity is your commission income. And what happens when you only have that opportunity as commission income is you're constantly chasing commission checks, right? And unless you're a really highly leveraged agent and you get the right mentorship, and this is some of the stuff we do at Agent Launch, my partner Jason does at his coaching company, is teach people to build a lot of leverage around them so that they can get out of being in the transaction hamster wheel, okay? Now, if you're like most agents, you are generally stuck in this transaction hamster wheel. So when you become 65, 70 years old, you still have to keep doing transactions and selling to have an income because you don't have a pension plan. So what EXP does is it allows you to build wealth. Now, I define wealth as when you can make more money in your sleep than you can spend, okay? Now, fortunately for me, I'm in a position in my life where that's already happened at 32 years old. EXP has been a part of that journey. Now, I have adopted a pretty good understanding of what I think, and I definitely have a long way to go. I always am a student. I always love to learn in terms of building more wealth, but I feel like EXP and the people I've partnered with EXP have actually been a big part of my journey to building wealth at a young age. And so the 3 ways you can earn money at EXP obviously is, number 1 is your commission income, but the second is through stock. And I'm gonna get into the equity program a bit later, but the third way is the revenue share. So this goes into recruiting and attracting agents. You do get a benefit financially for doing that or taking part in growing the company. And that's how EXP pays its agents back so they can share in the benefits of a growing brokerage. And in a traditional brokerage model, a RE/MAX, Keller Williams, Coldwell, Century 21, whatever it is, when you leave that brokerage, even if you brought on a bunch of agents and you helped grow the brokerage and you helped build the brokerage, you helped build the culture, you helped do whatever to build that company. Maybe you sold 600 homes at that brokerage and you gave it a good reputation in your local marketplace. Maybe you have 150 reviews on Google because you've served your clients so well and you've helped build the reputation of your brokerage. Well, what happens when you leave that brokerage? You get nothing. You have some stupid plaques and trophies. You have some accolades. Like, you literally get nothing. You have nothing. You have nothing to show for it. Nothing at all. And that's a big problem because it's a thankless job. And if you have to think about this objectively, when you go to retire, you get nothing. When you leave that brokerage, you get nothing. All this work you've done, you get nothing. And that's why most real estate agents mistake themselves having a business for actually having a job. Because being a real estate agent is not being a business owner. Being a real estate agent is having a job and being self-employed. It's not a business until you make it a business. If you build it as a business and you build infrastructure and a team and leverage where you're not in the day-to-day and you can make money on vacation when you take time off, that's when it becomes a business. Now, you have to understand this concept because with EXP, you can be an owner in the company. You can take part in revenue share when you grow the company, you get opportunities to actually start building wealth and assets rather than with most other brokerages where you are traditionally a renter. You are renting their brand, you are renting their tools, you are renting all of this stuff for your monthly fee and your split. You are not actually building wealth, and that's a really important distinction that I wanted to make very clear that makes EXP actually different, and one of the reasons why it's become a disruptor. So that's number one, is it truly does allow you to actually build wealth and have an exit strategy for retirement, okay? Now, number two is the equity program. Now, I alluded to the stock a minute ago. Now, I wanna talk a little bit about the actual equity program. Now, let's just go over to my screen here and take a look at the equity opportunities that you're gonna get with EXP. So, a lot of people will talk about these as separate things, but I believe this is under one umbrella of just stock and equity opportunity. So there's a few things that happen here, okay? Now, the first one is the agent equity program. So that's what you can see right here. Now, how this works is you can actually put 5% of your commission into EXP stock at a 10% discount, okay? So now I know my sponsor, Jason Smart, which I'll talk about a little bit later, he has done several six figures in stock from this. So he's made a lot of money because he's a very high producer. So especially for high producers, this can actually be a decent source of income that people, I think, undervalue. Because when a lot of people look at like the fees, and it's not really fair to just compare fees for fees, you have to look at the whole picture, and that's what this video is really about. So you can put 5% of all of your commission into the stock program at a 10% discount. Now, I think there's a massive growth potential in the stock. I haven't personally invested a lot of money in EXP outside of the actual stock program and things like that. I do have stocks through some of the tools that EXP gives us, but I also have invested outside of that because I think it's at a low right now, as is the whole market, and there's a huge growth potential. So you can put 5% of every transaction or every commission into the EXP stock at a 10% discount. It's just basically getting it at a discount. It's kind of a nice deal. The second part to this is the Icon program. So the Icon program is really, really cool. Now, when you hit a certain production level, how it works is you're actually going to get your $16,000 split. So EXP has an 80-20 split, right? With a $16,000 cap. So that means you pay 20% of your commission to EXP up to $16,000, and then you pay a small transaction fee. Okay, now I'll get into that a little bit in a minute, but that transaction fee has a cap as well of about $5,000. And once you hit that second cap, basically what's gonna happen is you're gonna become an Icon agent. When you hit Icon agent, EXP is gonna give you your original $16,000 back in stock. Now, how it works is it's broken up into a couple parts. They'll give you $12,000 back, and then they'll give you the other $4,000 back if you attend an event to be a speaker on a panel. So what that does is it encourages the best agents at the brokerage to give back in the form of education, which I think is really, really cool. Now, the third way, which isn't mentioned here, is when you actually attract agents to the company, say on your team. So you grow your team, right? And then those agents sell their first home, you are actually gonna get awarded stock. So usually it works out to something like, don't quote me on this, but like anywhere from 12 to 30 shares, something like that. But you will get awarded stock for that reason as well. So the company is very generous with its stock program. The stock's obviously growing, and there is a lot of equity opportunity on the table. Now, I just wanted to pull up the splits and commissions because I know people will ask about this. So I just want to cover this really quickly here. So basically, like I said, it's an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap, and then you have a $250 capped transaction fee. Now, this is for the US, okay? And once you hit that second cap of 5,000, as I mentioned, that's when you become Icon agent. So firstly, the $16,000 cap is a percentage. So whenever you hit that, you could hit that in theory in one deal if you get a $32,000 commission. So that's not based on deals. The second one is based on number of deals. So that is $250 per deal up to 5,000. That's when you're gonna hit Icon agent, okay? On the right, you can see the standard fees, $150 startup fee, $85 a month, $25 a transaction, $40 risk management. And so that's basically a little bit about the fee structure and the caps and how you can achieve that Icon to get your $16,000 back in stock. So when you do compare fees between brokerages, you have to look at that stuff, because if you are someone who's gonna hit Icon, you can very easily go feeless at EXP. And this is what's really interesting is like, if you have people on your team underneath you, so you have like a 5-person team, right? And they're underneath you in the revenue share, which I'm gonna get into. You'll make money from them that way. And you'll also get your cap back if you Icon, and then you could essentially go feeless. So like when people talk about the fees, you have to consider these things, right? It's really important. Okay, so that's number 2 is the equity and Icon program. Number 3 is the training calendar, okay? So this is something that I don't think is talked about enough. I'm just gonna break down why I think this is so cool and different than other brokerages. So like Keller Williams, the brokerage I used to be at, always sells agents on their training. Okay, this is one thing that Keller Williams will always do. They'll say, we get so many awards on training. We get so many awards. Look at all these awards on training. We're renowned to be a good training company. When you're at a Keller Williams office, some of them provide good training. I used to speak at Keller Williams offices for my former job. My former job before I got into real estate was actually teaching real estate agents how to run Facebook ads. I went out to about 140 brokerages and I actually spoke in person on how to run Facebook ads. I went to a lot of Keller Williams. One of the reasons was I was actually with Keller Williams while I was still doing that job. When I was in these offices, some of them provided pretty good training and my training was really good. So they did invite me to a lot of these places, which was kind of cool. However, you are limited to the training that one office provides you, okay? So that's a really important point. When you're in a physical bricks and mortar office, you might get 2 to 4 to 5 training sessions a week. Some of them I think are just really terrible and useless. Obviously, some of them are pretty good, okay? So that can vary depending on your brokerage. Again, Keller Williams is a franchise model, so it really depends on the ownership at your single brokerage, okay? I've been into some Keller Williams offices where I was very not impressed at all, and I've been in some which were quite good. So your experience can vary, right? With EXP, it's a cloud-based model, meaning it's centralized. Now in this world of decentralization, centralized doesn't sound that cool, but EXP is centralized, meaning all of their training happens online in one place, which means they have 50 hours of training a week. So if you just look at this calendar, like you look at Monday, look at all this training. Tuesday, there's training for literally everything every week. There's like 50 hours of training every week. So this is just 1 week. And so if you look at this training calendar, you can do this all online. It doesn't really compare. And that's just because what the model allows, it's centralized so they can put all their training worldwide in one place. So you can hop on from anywhere in the world anytime and join these training sessions at your will. There's just so much available to you. And the kicker on top of all of this, which I'm gonna get into on a later point, is the training you can potentially get from your sponsor. So within our group, we offer about 6 training calls per week, but I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. So you stack that on top of this and you have a lot of resources. Okay, now number 4 is the tech stack. Now a lot of people will talk about these individually, but I'm gonna talk about them as one umbrella, which is the technology stack. Personally, I'm gonna be very honest, I think people put too much emphasis on this stuff. And I'm a technology guy, right? I run, at the time of this video, a 17-person marketing consulting agency where we help real estate agents build scalable client acquisition systems they own. My company's called Agent Launch. You can check us out online. But we actually make real impacts in people's businesses. Like our average client earns an additional $187,000 in GCI for a single agent in their first year with us. We do on the high end like $600,000. So what we do works, and why it works is because we build the tech stack for our clients, okay? We actually build and optimize a lot of this stuff for you because we know the average agent is not good at this kind of stuff. When you look at a tech stack, it's important to look at the holistic picture. What are you actually getting for these fees that you're paying, right? I'm gonna cover right now just a little bit about what type of technology you're gonna get with EXP. Now, the first thing you're gonna get is KV Core. This is a lead generation website and CRM. You can opt into it, it's free. If you do wanna get a custom domain and not ericpreston.exprealty.com, you have to pay a small fee. I think it's like $12 a month or something like that. 12 to 20, don't quote me on that. But basically you're gonna get a IDX website that can generate you leads, can manage your lead flow. I think this is a great solution for newer agents, people starting out. It is not the best solution in the industry. I don't think any brokerage gives you the best solution in the industry. We are currently building that right now on our end with Agent Launch. We're building a proprietary solution for some of this stuff, but KV Core is a great place to start, absolutely. KV Core is a good starting place for building your real estate business. Another thing I'm gonna mention here, and I think this is in the pipeline, I don't know, but I have a feeling, is Showcase IDX was acquired by EXP. Now, Showcase IDX is actually the best IDX plugin for websites. So that's what we're hoping to use at Agent Launch to build out a proprietary solution, is use Showcase, because it actually is really good. It's very feature rich. We're just working with them on optimizing it for Google PPC, which is what we do a lot of. But I'm really excited to see when Showcase becomes part of the offer, if it becomes part of the offer, that will give people options, which I think will be really, really cool. And so I don't know if that's coming, like I said, but I know that EXP World owns Showcase, so I assume there's maybe something happening there. I don't know, but I'm really excited for that. And either way, you can always go out and get Showcase. plug it into your WordPress website or a custom solution, it is a really good option. And I think that EXP was really smart to buy that company. Now, the next piece of technology you're gonna get included in your fees, I never like to say free, because like people always say, oh, you get this free. Nothing's free, right? Like it's like in Canada, people say, oh, there's free healthcare. It's like, no, you pay for it in your taxes. Transaction management software, we use SkySlope at EXP, at least in Canada and the US. It's industry leading technology. It's really, really good. Honestly, it's one of the best out there. You get that included in your fees as well as the KV Core website I just spoke of. So that's really, really great. SkySlope is awesome and a lot of people love it. There are some other brokerages that use it too. It's a pretty popular software, but it is moving away from these solutions. Like one of the things that drives me a little bit nuts about Keller Williams is that they've built this software called KW Command and they talk about it like it's the best piece of software ever, but it's not. It's really broken. It doesn't work well. I've never ever seen an agent use it and be happy. I've never seen it work as it's intended to work, and I think they have a lot of work to do, and it's because they're trying to build an all-in-one solution. And unfortunately, you wouldn't hire one person with a hammer to build your whole house. And I think it's important to have specialists for different things. And it's really tough. And I think they're experiencing that now to build an all-in-one software. And that's nothing against them per se. It's just tough to build an all-in-one software because you're kind of a generalist and not a specialist. And so KV Core focuses on the website, CRM side of things. SkySlope focuses on transaction management with the EXP, and it does a really good job of it. The third piece of software you're going to get with the tech stack is called Facebook Workplace. This is something, again, people don't talk too much about, but if I could put this in the most basic sense for you, what this is a Facebook specifically for EXP. Think of Facebook, but the only people on it are EXP agents worldwide. So this is really cool. I basically can message my managing broker on here. I can message transaction coordinators. I can message anyone in the EXP organization. And my experience with it has been my managing brokers got back to me within like 10 minutes. So they're quite responsive. And partly that could just be because my managing broker is really on it. But basically, you can create groups, you can share ideas, you can connect with people for referrals. It's like having every single EXP agent in your phone. It's right here. And it's really, really cool. It's just online. I think it's a great software. One of the few products from Facebook I actually like, because it's designed for workplaces and workspaces. So that's another cool thing you get as part of the tech stack. And the last thing that you get is called EXP World. Now, this is one of those things that I thought was just a little bit ridiculous when I started with EXP, but I've come around to actually liking. So I'm just gonna show you what this looks like here. Now, this is basically EXP World. This is actually Verbella, which is another company that EXP acquired very smartly, I think. Smartly, very intelligently. Basically, this is a virtual world called EXP World. So you can walk around here and there's a lot of stuff you can do. This is where some of our training happens. So if you go into the main auditorium and there's training, keep in mind, this is gonna be a dead zone right now because I'm actually in Portugal. Hey, there's the Portuguese flag. And it is 11 a.m., which means back home, it's like 3 in the morning. And this is a Saturday. So this is gonna be completely dead right now, but normally there's a lot of people walking around here. It's just the time of day at the moment. So essentially this is where a lot of the training is gonna happen. What I can do here is if I go to a certain place, like say I want tech support, right? I can go to the tech support lobby and that's just gonna transfer me over there. And this is really cool because what happens during working hours, like if you actually look at this sign here, it's closed Saturday and Sunday, which it's Saturday right now. But basically what's gonna happen is you can go into these tech rooms and there's actually people that you can just sit down with and will help you with your technology. So if you are having any issues with like, KV Core or SkySlope or any of those things, you can actually sit down with a tech support person. And this is just one of those representations that I want people to understand of why EXP's business model is so much stronger, is because you can essentially, hey, look at the football teams. You can essentially scale. Like you can scale this. This is scalable. In most offices, you have to understand this. Having tech support is really hard because if you have an office of like 30 people, you can't have a dedicated tech support person. It doesn't make sense. It's not scalable. But in a model like this, you can literally have dedicated worldwide tech support people whose literal job it is to help you with tech support. So if you look at these different rooms here, onboarding and agent support, transaction prospecting, agent compliance, accounting, KV Core. So like these are closed right now, obviously, because this is the weekend and they're not open. But basically like technical support and help, look at this. Like you have, there literally be other avatars sitting in there ready to help you. And I think this is really, really cool. And if you actually go to like the auditoriums, that's where the training happens. So you go in there and you sit down, you can talk to people, you can talk to your friends and take part in all of the training. So it's really, really interesting. Like when you actually get around to it, basically like, There's so many cool things you can do in here. And the longer I use this, the more I actually do think it's kind of cool for all the training purposes, for the connecting purposes, and so on and so forth. But the big thing is, I think getting tech support and the training and doing it in this environment is actually kind of cool. So that's the fourth and final piece to the main parts of the tech stack, which I think you might find interesting. All right, everyone. So number 5 on the list is the revenue sharing program. Now, this is something that gets a lot of heat, right? I've talked a little bit about it, but this is really, really interesting. And there's a lot of opportunity here that I want to share with you. I want to break down more or less how this works at a high level and then go into some of the details around it. A lot of people will spend, I think, just too much time and emphasis on this. There's a lot of sponsorship and mentorship groups within EXP. There's some of them anyway that focus a lot on agent attraction. Our group is not one of those. We put a lot of our emphasis on production and helping people level up their business. And we encourage people to spend, 5% of their time on agent attraction if they want to, but we definitely focus on helping agents sell more houses. And I'll get into that a little bit later, as I said, but the revenue share basically works like this. If you sponsor an agent into the company, meaning say you select me as your sponsor, right? So you write on your joining papers with EXP when you apply, Eric Preston is my sponsor. That is technically the person who influenced you most to join the company. So for example, if you watch this video, you like what I had to say, in a minute here, I'm going to explain what our group actually offers and how we have, I think, one of the leading value propositions out there. And say you select me, right? Now, we have a relationship, a business relationship, where I'm financially invested in your success. So what I've done with our group is we've actually offered a lot of value to people who select us as their sponsor. The reason I can do this is because of the revenue sharing program. Is I'm not going to make a lot of money from you up front. I'm not going to make any money from you up front. But in the long term, if you sell a lot of houses and have a successful career, I will make some money on the back end and that creates a relationship where I'm actually financially invested in your success as an agent, so that I want you to succeed. Because if you succeed, I win, you win, everybody wins. So that's where we built mentorship around this. And so basically how this works is when you attract an agent to the company and they list you as their sponsor, you will get a percentage of the revenue that they bring in. It's sometimes easier to understand this on like a numbers basis. So there's two charts here I'll use to explain this. So basically on your first tier, if you bring an agent right underneath you, you will make up to $2,800 per year. How it works is you will get 3.5% of the money that they make when they cap. So how it works is when you make $80,000, you will have given $16,000 to EXP. So $16,000 is 20% of 80. So that's the 80-20 split, right? So that's how the split is $16,000. Now you're gonna get 3.5% of the 80,000. That's what this number means. Now, if you look at it up here in a numbers sense, that's $2,800 per year. An agent has a yearly cycle. So when you have someone on your front line, if they cap, meaning if they make 80 grand in GCI, you will get 2,800. That's basically the front line. So you can basically make 2,800 per agent that sells 80,000 or makes 80,000 in commission. That's not very hard in this industry with some good mentorship. In a lot of markets, that's 8 deals, right? And so that's on your front line. So that would be people you bring in onto your team, people who get sponsored by you directly. So for example, if you list me as your sponsor, you would be on my front line. And if you made $80,000, I would get 2,800 per year. On the second tier, you will actually make a little bit more, but there's a caveat to that. So you will make $3,200. And this is in Canada and the US, by the way. This can differ slightly in other markets, but basically that's 3.8% of that 80,000. Now you will only get that 3.8% if you have 5 frontline qualified agents. Now, what that means, this is a little confusing, so I'm going to try to break it down in the easiest way I can. Frontline qualified agents is an agent on your front line, so someone you've directly sponsored who's made $5,000 in commission or more, okay? A lot of the time, you might have like 10 frontline agents and say 6 of them might be frontline qualified. Maybe 4 of them are new and they just haven't had a deal come through yet. But basically they need to be frontline qualified for you to unlock that second tier. Then you need 10 to unlock the third tier, 15 to unlock the fourth, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically, if you don't have that many frontline qualified agents, you'll still make some revenue, but it's a lot lower. Say you bring in an agent and then they bring in another agent. you will only get 0.2% of their GCI up to their $80,000 amount where they cap the 16,000. You'll only get 0.2% instead of 3.8%, okay? So you'll still get something, but it's not gonna be as significant if you have frontline qualified agents. So I'm gonna show you my revenue share here, and I'm gonna blur out the actual numbers because you don't need to see that. But essentially, like, I make 6 figures a year from this. I'll just be very transparent. And I've done this in a year and a half, and this number is growing, okay? So this can be quite significant. So very transparently, on my front line right now, I have 70 agents. 35 of them are frontline qualified, so half of them. You can see down here, we're bringing in about 20 agents per month right now, and I have 159 total in my revenue share group. Basically, because I have 35 frontline qualified agents, I've unlocked almost every level. So I have 5 more frontline qualified agents, which I know they're in here. A lot of people just recently joined, so they haven't had a final closing happen yet. But I know at least 60% of my agents are gonna qualify, so I will have access to all 7 tiers. The interesting part about this is a lot of the growth that's happening right now is not because of me. To be quite honest with you, I've been busy building my company Agent Launch into the badass company that it is now. We're really making waves in the industry, and I think what we're doing is really special. And we've actually built our Agent Launch offer into our EXP revenue share. And I actually share some of my revenue share back with my team at Agent Launch, who helps and gets involved in the coaching that we do through the collaborative movement, through EXP. Jason, my sponsor, does that too. So we actually provide you with about 7 different coaches just for joining us and a lot of training. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but I just wanted to share this with you because a lot of the new agents that are joining us are not directly because of me anymore. There was a while where a lot of them were because of me, but now I have a lot of other people bringing in other people, right? And it's starting to really cascade. And I've brought in a few key players who are doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and they're bringing in a lot of agents, and that allows me to focus more on being a coach. So I'm spending less time on building this now and more time on coaching the people that come into our organization and helping them be successful. And so is my sponsor, Jason. And so that's a really important point I wanted to make because I think it's really, really cool that we can do that. We can collaborate in that way. Now we have other people who are building their teams because we're helping them sell a lot more homes. They're bringing in other agents, and we're helping these agents and coaching them on like YouTube and lead generation and team building and sales and like yada, yada, and all this stuff, and helping them at a really high level because we have a very legitimately successful group of people who, you know, Jason does 450 homes per year. They have a very successful team, and we're actually teaching people real skills on how to actually help them level up. One of my partners, Jeremy, he's one of our main coaches now. He closed 700,000 in GCI in his first 18 months with Google PPC leads, which is what our company helps people, our company Agent Launch helps people set up. And so Jeremy's one of our coaches, right? And he's gonna help you actually sell more real estate with online leads that my team will help you generate. Like, we have this pretty robust package. And so it's built on the foundation of the fact that we actually do get a financial benefit on the back end, right? We're not just obviously doing this for free, but it creates a more collaborative experience. And you actually have this opportunity through the revenue share model to build yourself a retirement plan, to build yourself an alternative source of income so that one day you can move from being a successful high producing agent to being a coach, right? And you can help mentor and groom other people. And if you're anything like me, you might want to do that from Europe. You might want to do that from Mexico, right? A lot of people are doing that these days where maybe you want to live somewhere else in the world. Maybe you want to sell real estate for the next 5 years. You want to absolutely crush it, learn everything you can, and then you want to be a coach and a mentor to other agents. And you can do that nowadays through Zoom, online, remotely. I personally love living in Europe. I'm in Portugal right now. That's where I'm going to be setting up a home. I'm able to do my whole business online. You know, I have a team of 17 people now. They're all back on North American time zone. So I literally just work evening times. And I actually love that. I love having my mornings off. I love working in the evening instead. So that works for my lifestyle. And I'm able to live wherever I want in the world and run my business, help my EXP partners, and build this stuff at a really high level. This has unlocked a lot of opportunity for me, and it could potentially unlock a lot of opportunity for you too. All right, everyone, I hope you've gotten some value because the next one is the most important thing about EXP. Now, this is your sponsor. Now, obviously I've alluded to this already, and I would encourage you to explore working with us at the collaborative movement. As you can see here, we have done a lot of work to bring in a lot of good coaches, a lot of good mentors, and build a lot of infrastructure around our offer. If you are interested in joining us, you can go to collaborativemovement.com, click on learn more about this opportunity. You'll get the option to actually book a one-on-one call with us or join one of our weekly info sessions that we've set up for you. But I just want to talk about why the sponsor is so important and talk about some of the coaches in our program. So we have over 350 agents in our program. We are not the fastest growing group out there, and that's been intentional. We focused on attracting really good people rather than attracting a volume of people. There's other groups out there that'll brag and say, hey, we're attracting 100 agents a month. And I'm like, great. Do you want to be 1 in 100 a month of people who are joining this team? Like, do you feel like you're going to get a lot of one-on-one close support? It's not necessarily likely. And so we focused on quality over quantity in our group. Just to be clear, you can join us from anywhere EXP operates in the world. There is a number of different countries that it does operate from. And I'm just going to show that to you right here really quickly. So as you can see here, there's a lot of countries that EXP operates, and you could join us in theory from any of these places. Like we have partners in France, in South Africa, and India. Like we have people all over the world now, and we have some coming in Latin America and Mexico. So you can actually join us and get this mentorship from any of these countries that EXP operates. I genuinely believe we are one of the most value-packed groups out there, and I'm going to explain to you why. So here's your 3 main coaches in our group, but it does go beyond this. So obviously you get myself, but what's interesting about our group is we haven't built this in a selfish way, meaning both myself and Jason Simard share a pretty sizable amount of our revenue share back with our teams. Jason's teams at Sims Real Estate and Sims Coaching, my teams at Agent Launch. So what happens is we have actually incentivized our teams to help us grow our EXP organizations by being coaches. We coach you on Google Ads, lead generation online. We coach you on operations and systems, managing your business better with automations and software and things like that. I coach our agents on YouTube, growing a YouTube presence and leveraging and deploying your videos correctly so you can build trust with your audience, kind of like you're doing right now. You're watching this video, I might be building some trust with you or some affinity with you, and you might be getting to a point where you want to talk to me, right? That's just how this stuff works. And I tell my clients that all the time. In a real estate context, I get you to build a series of really value-add videos and deploy them to your leads properly so that you can build trust with them and they'll actually be more willing to talk and get on a call with you. Jason, if you don't know him, he has a pretty large team. I think they're about 18. He sold 135 homes in his first year in the business. He exited production in 3.5 years, which is crazy. Now his team does 450 deals every year, which is just monumental. And what Jason does, he shares a sizable amount of his revenue share back with his team. So you get his lead ISA, Jamie, who tees up 200 deals a year just from the Google PPC ads that my team runs. Him and his team tee up over 200 deals per year from the Google PPC ads my team runs. He has a weekly call on how to convert online leads, how to work a CRM, how to manage and build trust with your audience. That's what Jamie does every single week. You get access to that call for free. Jason's lead admin, Caitlin, she runs an admin call. It's going to teach you how to organize your business, how to run your operations smoothly. And they do this with a team of like over 10 agents, multiple ISAs, multiple admin, social media people, like graphic designers. Like they have a big organization. They run it really smoothly and you get to learn from these people. Joe Moretti, Jason's right-hand man, he is their general manager. He's going to help you create a really rock solid business plan, the same kind of business plan Jason used in his first year to sell 135 homes. He's going to help hold you accountable and do scripting with you and all of these things to help you get your real estate business off the ground if you're a new agent, or help you really dial it in if you are a little bit experienced. Jason runs a call every week on how to actually sell more, how to build a team, how to use better language, better questions, like actually build a really successful real estate business at a high level. So whether you're new and you need to know how to crush it in your first year, or you're looking to grow a big team of 10 plus agents and you want to learn how to structure it, Jason's opened his entire playbook up. He's basically given you all of his team resources. Everything his team has, he's opened his full playbook for you to just dive into and adopt into your business. Now, this is really cool. There are some other sponsors at EXP that claim that they're top producers, but you gotta actually ask people, what's their numbers? What are their numbers? What do their numbers do? Like, how many homes have you actually sold in your life and your career? Because Jason does over 400 a year. Like, they're the real deal. And this is the reason I partnered with Jason over any other sponsor out there, because I felt like some of the other available options had very overlapping skills with me. I'm really good at digital marketing, YouTube, online marketing, lead generation, all that stuff. I wanted to partner with someone who complemented that well, who'd actually built a really successful real estate business, and that was Jason, okay? You're gonna get access to me, my whole team, Jason, his whole team. Jeremy is one of our main coaches in the program as well. Jeremy actually focuses on some of our agent attraction side of things. So he's going to help you, if that's something of interest to you, attract some agents by offering value. Jeremy also did 700,000 in GCI and online leads in his first 18 months of using Google PPC. He did 700,000 in GCI in his first 18 months. So you're going to get to learn from this guy, and he was actually coached by Jason as well. And so we all work together as a unit. We also have some other key partners that are involved in our coaching, and you can check them out on our website here. But again, if you do want to get in touch with us, you can click this link, apply, book an intro call, or join our weekly session. Another thing I wanted to show you really quickly here is our actual training calendar. So this is the training calendar you're going to get just from the collaborative movement, not from EXP, but from the collaborative movement. So this is stacked on top. So like I said, Sims Mastermind, Jason runs that call, okay? Business planning, that's what Joe Moretti, Jason's right-hand man, runs that call. So when you get in, we're gonna help you build a rock-solid business plan. We also have a 90-day new agent trading program you can go through. I run the lead generation mastermind, talking about YouTube and Google ads and things like that, online lead generation in general. ISA zone, Jamie runs that call, Jason's lead ISA. He's like the #1 ISA in the world, and you get to learn from him. It's crazy. Like, he is a master at converting online leads and building trust with people. You're gonna wanna learn from this guy. Social media help desk, Jason's admin team and social media team run that call to help you with your social media. Google ads and systems, like my team, Axel and Haley on my team run that call. Axel manages over 500,000 in Google ad spend every single month, right? Haley runs our entire operations department. Like, she used to work for a very high profile team running their operations and social media and things like that. You get a lot of resources here. Another thing you're gonna get is our training material. So this is our library of coaching content, where you're gonna get all of my content, all of Jason's content, all in one place. And so this is like foundational online marketing, Google ads, YouTube, all of our recordings, all of our downloadable content. Like, if you go into this, there's actually really good tangible resources in here that you use to build a real business, right? This is not fluffy stuff. We have courses in here for each one of those training calls, where we have our recorded calls. We have a new agent training program Jason's team's built, which is phenomenal. You have all of this stuff at your disposal to use. We have a private Facebook community. There's just so much you're gonna get in value from partnering with the right people. And yes, I know this is a little bit of a pitch about our group, but I've seen so many people join other groups and then wish they came back and joined ours, because they see the value that we've built into this. We're not just about attracting agents and then pushing you to the wayside and forgetting about you. We've actually built infrastructure if you take advantage of it. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't had people come in and just ghost. Like, it happens and they're still with us. But like, I'm not gonna chase you around to make sure you're attending all these calls. That's not how this works. I don't have enough incentive to do that. I'm busy and I'm focused on working with the people who show up. If you show up, we'll work with you, we'll help you level up, but you gotta show up. So get your running shoes on if you wanna join us, because we will help you level up. Now, finally, number 7, and this goes along with this, is collaboration. And this is the reason we called our group the collaborative movement. Now, this is a bit of an abstract thing I want to talk about, but I just want to discuss the relationships that have come from EXP. One point I want to make here is, because of the way the model's designed, is it aligns incentives and it creates collaboration. And this is where our name, the collaborative movement, came from. So think of it this way. Most agents, when they add a team member to their team in a traditional brokerage model, they're scared to share all their secrets with that agent in case they take all their secrets, replicate their secrets in the same market, and become a competitor. Does that make sense? I hope so, because this is very common. With agent launch, a lot of our clients are like, I don't want to bring some of my team members in because I don't want them to like learn what you guys are doing for us and then go build out their own. And I'm like, that's the problem in our industry, is it's so dog-eat-dog competitive. This is what makes EXP really unique, is because of the sponsorship model. When someone selects you as their sponsor and they come onto your team, right? You can share your secrets with them, because if in a year from now they go out and they want to build their own team using some of the secrets you've shared with them, you can say, great, I'll help you do it. Because then they go build their own team, and if they bring in 10 agents, they build a big team. Those 10 agents bring in 10 agents. Now you have like 30, 40 agents under you, and you're actually making passive income through the revenue share model, and that benefits you. So you can actually start helping those people that have come onto your team, absorbed and learned from you, and gone off and created their own team. You can actually still collaborate with them, because the model creates this unique aligned incentives where it's in everyone's best interest for all of you to do well. And that's what's really, really cool about this model is that it aligns incentives. It creates win-win-wins. So if you select me, for example, as your sponsor, I'm gonna send you a welcome email. I'm gonna get you invested and involved in all of our coaching, all of our training. If you sell 0 homes and do nothing, I get nothing. So that means our incentives are aligned. And this is what makes EXP not like a pyramid scheme or MLM, is because there's no benefit for me to get you to join. The benefit is if you actually succeed. That's a really important distinction where we can align our incentives correctly so that I can help you level up, and if you level up, I'll benefit. So it's almost like only a win if you win. It's a win-win-win if you win. It's a lose-lose-lose if you don't. It makes this situation where we can truly collaborate and have our incentives aligned. And so that's my last and final point that may not be so obvious, but the relationships that have come out of EXP. The things that I'm doing with some of these people, the conversations we're having, we're like really good friends. We're like planning trips together. We're doing all this stuff. We have side businesses we've been exploring. Like there's so many things that can happen when you just align your incentives through this model, because it creates these win-win-wins. So that's my final point, and I hope you guys got some value out of this video. I'd appreciate if you left any questions down below. If you do want to work with Agent Launch, you can check out agentlaunch.com, go to agentlaunch.com/apply if you want to work with us. We do work with people from any brokerage, of course. It's not an EXP thing explicitly. The collaborative movement, if you do want to partner with us at EXP, just go to collaborativemovement.com, click on learn more about this opportunity. You can apply to work with us there. You may get the option to book a one-on-one call or join our weekly session. We're happy to explain more the opportunity to you in detail, but I hope this video gave you at least some kind of groundwork or framework to build from, because what Jason and I have found with having hundreds of these calls is that once you see the model, you can't really unsee it. And that's important. Like once you see all this stuff, it's hard to unsee it, because EXP truly does create entrepreneurs. It creates people who can build wealth, who can build businesses, who can collaborate. They have really created an environment where you can truly be an entrepreneur. And that's what we love about it. No longer are you going to be a renter from your old brokerage with trophies and nothing to show for it at the end. You can be an owner. You can own your brand. You can own your presence. You can take part in the growth of the company. You can benefit from that. There's just so many benefits that I wanted to touch on. And we've put a lot of energy into making our group one of the most, if not the most, attractive offers out there by bringing in good people, high performers. I think we have one of the highest percentages of 7-figure agents in our community. And one of the reasons is some groups out there who have leaders who actually haven't built big real estate businesses, like the 7-figure agents can see through that. Whereas with Jason, like he's the real deal. He's always the biggest fish in the pond, it feels like. Essentially, that attracts a lot of other big fish who want to learn from Jason and have the success he's had. And same with me, like people who want to build a YouTube presence like I have and have a lot of success there, and combine that with Jason's training. And we have very similar ideals around how to build a business. So we've collaborated on that, and the things we teach are very much aligned. And so if you want to learn from someone who's had my success in the online world, online marketing, lead generation, all that kind of stuff, Jason's success in the real estate space, building a really successful team, Jeremy's success in his real estate business. I mean, he built a 7-figure practice as well. He's moved on from real estate to move abroad and be a high performance and sales coach. So if you want to learn from him, like there's just so many tools at your disposal. So anyways, check us out online. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope I gave you a very honest perspective of what it might be like to join EXP. Leave them in the comments, reach out to us anytime, and maybe I'll see you on the other side.